All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, November 4th, 2019. We're going to take it from the top. We just did a 30-some minute live stream. It was brought to my attention that it wasn't set to private, so it was going out to the public, and a lot of people didn't like that. So, again, I apologize. It was an accident, and we'll just take it from the top. We'd gone over basketball, hockey, and we were about to get to Monday Night Football. Just to quickly review, I think the basketball games look better tonight. And just in short, I like overlap numbers. Pistons can improve to 4-4 tonight. Wizards equals 44. Detroit equals 44. I think that's the strongest riddle on the board. The one curious detail about this game is that the Pistons coach, it's his 202nd day of his age, and the game's in Washington, D.C., the 202 area code. So the NBA has the advertising campaign this year with area codes. I'm going to keep an eye on that. If the Pistons lose this game, I'll remember that and watch for that with future games with coaches and area codes, since that seems to be an NBA focus this year. But I'm going to stick to the traditional winning metrics. Overlap numbers are good sign. Wizards 44, Detroit 44. Pistons on the road, who are slight underdogs, can get to 4-4. I always encourage to take the points with an underdog. The Pelicans and the Nets. In this game, the strongest riddle here is the Pelicans losing and the Nets improving to 3-4 because Pelicans equals 34 in the most pure cipher. If the Pelicans lose, they'll be 1-6. Brooklyn Nets equals 53, the 16th prime. If the Pelicans lose their next two games, they'll fall to 1-7. Zion equals 17. 17's the reflection of 71. Toronto Raptors is 71. That's who the Pelicans would face if they lost this game and the next. And the only thing that I see that could possibly go in the Pelicans' favor is them becoming 1-3 away, because Nets equals 13 and Brooklyn equals 41, the 13th prime. Let me double check one more thing too, actually, that I might have just thought of. Let me double check something about Brooklyn. Okay, yeah, Brooklyn. You got to use the rules for K. If you use the rules for K, Brooklyn, New York is 97, the 25th prime, and the Pelicans could get to 2-5, but again, I think all that's a little bit more abstract. I like the fact that the Nets can get to 3-4. Pelicans is 34 in the most pure cipher. Both of the teams' overall head-to-head records make sense with a Nets win. And if the Nets do win, they have a shot to upset Portland in the next game and improve to 4-4. Portland's 44. The Rockets at Grizzlies game, we talked about how if the Rockets lost at Miami, they might very well fall to Memphis and become 3-4. Memphis equals 34. The Rockets are back at home for their next game against the Warriors. They should win that one. By beating the Warriors, if they lost this game, they would improve to 4-4 for the season, and Rockets equals 44. So I think Memphis has a good shot here. They're underdogs at home. Again, with underdogs, I'd always encourage to take the points. The over-under's at 229.5, and the last game was 229 days ago. This is the 97th game between these teams. Memphis Grizzlies equals 97. If the Grizzlies do win, they'll improve to 2-4, and they'll face Minnesota next. They wear Wolves on the jersey. Wolves equals 24, so they can go in 2-4 to face the Wolves if they upset the Rockets. The Bucks and Timberwolves, again, the Bucks can get to 5-2. Minnesota is 52. 52 hits a lot in sports when Minnesota teams are playing. And if the Timberwolves do lose, they'll become 1-1 at home. Bucks equals 11 in the most pure cipher. So Bucks get to 5-2. Wolves fall to 1-1 at home. I think that is the best riddle on the board. The Bucks play at Los Angeles next, so if they win this game and become 5-2, they'll likely lose in LA next because Los Angeles and Milwaukee are both 53. If the Bucks got upset tonight, keep that in mind, because the Bucks might very well upset LA, because that's the overlap number, 53. But I would look for the Bucks to be 5-3 by the conclusion of the LA game. The narrative for Minnesota to win this game tonight is that Bucks also equals 79 the 22nd prime. If the Bucks lost, they'd be 2-2 away. And if the Timberwolves won, they'd be 2-0 at home. Target center's 71 the 20th prime. So it's possible, but again, Minnesota in 52, that comes through a lot. We rode Minnesota 52 all year in baseball. It's come up in football a couple times. So I like Minnesota 52 riddles. I know they come through a lot more often than not. 76ers and Suns, more overlap numbers here. 76ers equals 52. Phoenix Suns equals 52. The Suns can improve to 5-2 by upsetting Philadelphia. They're a slight underdog at home. The over-under's at 222, right next to 223, the big Philadelphia number. And the Suns coach, he can stay on 223 losses by beating Philadelphia. Philadelphia 223. Number that shows up a lot in Philadelphia games. And if the 76ers do lose this game, very possible they lose their next away game to the Utah Jazz, because Utah Jazz is 32. If they lose tonight, they're 3-1 away. If they lose again, they're 3-2 away. So I think the Suns got a good shot here tonight. The Trailblazers and Warriors, if the Blazers win tonight, they're 4-3. Blazers is 43. If the Warriors lose, they're 1-6. Trailblazers is 53, the 16th prime. And notice if the Trailblazers win, they become 4-1 away. Golden State's 41. So all of those are good signs. The only thing that I see that could go sideways is if the Warriors won, they'd be 1-4 at home. Blazers again is 43, the 14th prime, and this game's on NBA TV, which equals 14. So there is a little something there for the Warriors, but again, to me it looks better for the Blazers. Plus, if the Warriors lose this game, it sets them up to lose their next game as well. In their next game, they play the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets is 59. Warriors is 59. 59 is the 17th prime. So if the Warriors lose tonight and to the Rockets in Houston next, they'll be 1-7. And don't forget NBA 17, big number with the NBA. Celtics lead with 17 championships. Warriors could also fall to 0-5 at home tonight. The reflection of 50, San Francisco 50, the city they moved to. And if the Blazers win tonight, I'd expect them to lose to the Clippers next, because Clippers and Portland are both 44. Lillard from the Bay Area, he's 7-17 versus Golden State in the regular season. If he did lose tonight, he'd get his 18th loss on the 18-date numerology. But again, I think the better riddle here is for the Blazers to get it done and see the Warriors fall to 1-7 in Houston. So basketball, I think the riddles are pretty decent tonight. Blazers look good. Suns look good. Bucks look good. Grizzlies look good. And again, with the underdogs, I do encourage you to take the points, just in case they lose in a close one. And the Nets look good. And got to go with the Pistons on the road, 3-point underdogs, because they got the overlap numbers. They get to 4-4. Wizards 44, Detroit 44. So that's basketball today. I think that's where the best riddles are. I think Monday Night Football's got a good riddle too. Hockey, again, hockey's dangerous today. Penguins at Bruins. The Penguins have a chance to become 4-2 away. And, the last time I talked about the Penguins in 42, I said I wouldn't be surprised if the Penguins won 4-2 tonight, and that's exactly what they did. Penguins 42, the number shows up with them a lot. So the Penguins have a shot to become 4-2. But at the same time, there's plenty of narrative for them to lose and fall to 3-3. Massachusetts is 33. New York's 33. They play at New York. So their away record would be 3-3 going into New York. And the Penguins did lose in regulation. They'd be 6-1. Their next opponent's the Islanders, 61. In light of today having 18 date numerology, if the Penguins lose in overtime, they will have 18 points. So I probably wouldn't mess with this game. My concern about the Bruins is they could fall to 10-2. Again, you're the 102nd Stanley Cup. The Bruins play the Montreal Canadiens next. Montreal Canadiens equals 102. I believe it's the Canadiens' 102nd season as well. So I think this game's danger. I would leave it alone. Senators at Rangers. Rangers are a pretty good favorite at home. They seem to have the better narrative as well. Again, if the Senators lose, they'll be if they lose in regulation, they'd be 0-5-1. New York, NY is 51. Senators is 51. They could become 3-9. Ninth regulation loss, 3-9-1 if they lost in regulation. New York 39. We know how much New York in 39 shows up. And the Rangers right now are 3-3-1 at home, meaning they have 3 wins and 4 combined losses. If they win tonight, they'll be 4-4. Rangers is 44. Detroit's 44. They host Detroit next. So that makes sense as well. And again, this could be too much math magic, but if the Rangers lost tonight in regulation, they would be 5-6-1 in the season. 561 is the 33rd triangular number. New York's 33. That's about the only thing I see that could go wrong. And so far, where I've done these more math magical things, if you will, it hasn't been helpful. Just trying to be thorough, but maybe sometimes too thorough. The key elements look pretty good for the Rangers here. Predators and Red Wings, I wouldn't mess with this game either. There's too much risk for the Predators, who aren't much of a payout. The Red Wings have a little narrative. But, yeah, I'll let you read the notes. Again, we did cover this in the last live stream. I'm just reviewing for people who got here late. We shut down that live stream because I accidentally had it set to public. But I think Red Wings have a chance at an upset, but it's not a good enough narrative to believe in. Caller?
Hey, what's going on, Zach? I just heard you say something about how if the Rangers lost, they can become 5-6-1.
Uh-huh.
I'm on this website for betting called Bovada, and the Rangers money line is -165, which is like a reshuffle. So that's kind of like very interesting on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
But that's it, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks. All right, so if that wasn't clear, he was saying that on Bovada, the line for the Rangers is -165, just slightly different than what ESPN's showing in this screenshot. But, again, New York in 39 shows up so often. And notice the Senators technically are 3-9 on the season coming into New York. 8 regulation losses, 1 overtime loss. So, if the Rangers did lose tonight, they should pick up their 13th points in the next game because that's against Detroit. Detroit's 91, the 13th triangular number. But again, Rangers getting to 4-4 at home before they host Detroit. It's probably the strongest riddle for the game. And then Predators at Red Wings, again, the upset narrative for the Red Wings, who are significant underdogs at home, is for Nashville to fall to 2-3 away, kind of like 23. Nashville Predators is 83, the 23rd prime. Detroit, Michigan is 83. It's on the 83rd meridian. But, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I can only put so much stock in that. And then the Coyotes and Oilers game's a bit dangerous as well. If the Coyotes lost in overtime, they'd have 18 points on the 18-date numerology. Hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Hey. I can't stay on much longer, but I was just going to talk a little bit about a possible future for the Cowboys for the Super Bowl and the championship game.
Okay.
So if you look at the championship game, it's on 1/19/2020. So with the day included, we've got a span of 77 days or 11 weeks. Jason Garrett's a 77. The Super Bowl at 2/2/20 is a span of 91 days or 13 weeks. 91 being the 13th triangular. Dallas is 13.
What's the span from what?
From the span of today when the Cowboys play.
Oh, the Monday night game. Got it. Okay.
Monday night game to 2/2/20. Super Bowl day.
Okay.
So if you include the day, it's 91 days or 13 weeks exactly. And 91's the 13th triangular.
Right. Dallas 13, yeah.
Dallas is 13. And then the other thing that interests me on it for the Cowboys for the Super Bowl, there's a lot more, but I'm just covering the highlights that I've got, is Garrett and Prescott both equal 100 in the 100th season of the NFL.
Right, and it's 112 days after Jerry Jones's birthday, the Super Bowl number. So, yeah, the Cowboys definitely got some interesting things this year.
Yeah, I just thought the alignment for tonight being a Monday night game to both the championship game and the Super Bowl is interesting.
Yeah, the NFL league offices in New York, MNF's 33, New York's 33, the Super Bowl's on the 33rd day. Yeah, it's a good observation.
Cowboys are 33 as well, right?
Cowboys is 33, you're right, yep.
All right, talk to you later.
All right, thanks, man. See you. Okay, so the Coyotes, if they lose in overtime, they'd have 18 points on the 18-date numerology, plus the location, Rogers Place equals 61, the 18th prime. And if the Oilers win tonight, they'll be 6-1 at home. Again, Rogers Place, 61. It's a good day to become 6-1 because 61 is the 18th prime, and you got the 18-date numerology. So I am leaning towards the Oilers winning this game. My concern is right here. Arizona equals 105. Technically, the Oilers come into this game with 10 wins and 5 losses. But if they lost in regulation, they would be 10-5 after playing Arizona. So, and there's no clear points riddle with the Oilers picking up points against the Coyotes. If they did win, though, the Oilers, they'd face the Blues on 23 points, and Blues equals 23. So, anyhow, I am leaning Oilers in this one, but the 10-5 gives me a little bit of apprehension. So that's why I was saying I think the better riddles today are in basketball between NHL and NBA. There's more NBA games to choose from. So anyway, that's that. All the notes are posted if you want to go over it. If anybody else has anything that I overlooked, you're welcome to call in and share. But that's that. And then the next thing is Monday Night Football, but first we got a caller. Caller?
What's up, Zach? How you doing?
What's up, man?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out a couple things on the hockey games. Well, the first one is Massachusetts is 168, and Penguins can, if they lose, they'll be the reflection of 168.
That's a good point. Yeah, I see that.
8-6-1. But honestly, that game's too tough. I'm just going to stay away from that because there's some stuff. And then if Bruins win, they'll be 11-1. Penguins equals 111.
Penguins is 111? I missed that.
Yeah, Penguins is 111, and if they win, they'll be 11-1. So that's.
Yeah, that is true. That's a good observation. I'm surprised I missed that. That's a good one right there.
And also their goalie can go forward, so I don't know. That one's too hard.
Yeah, but, Penguins 111, man. That's a good observation. All right, I gotta put that in the notes.
Hey, Zach, you never look at the goalies?
I don't, because they mislead me more often than they help me.
Okay, because the Rangers goalie can go 3-1 as well.
Somebody called in and pointed that out earlier for another New York tribute. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of, and he's not scheduled to play until he plays against Hurricanes in Raleigh, where they play, North Carolina. 133. So I don't know. That one's kind of tough too. And did you point out if Oilers win, they'll be
You cut out. You cut out. If the Oilers won, what?
If the Oilers win, they'll be 11-5, like 11 wins and 5 losses.
Prime numbers.
St. Louis.
Prime numbers. Oh, and then they play the Blues next, and St. Louis is 115. Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, I think the Oilers getting to 6-1 at home makes a lot of sense on today's date in the location. So.
Mm-hmm. And also, Phoenix, Arizona's 85. Coyotes can go 85. So that's kind of tough. And also, I see that you're saying about the Rogers Place in 61.
What was your point about Arizona Coyotes 85?
Yeah, Phoenix, Arizona equals 85. They can go 8-5.
Yeah, if they lose, okay, all right.
And I see one. Also, I see something for Predators winning potentially. If they win, they'll be 9-4.
Right.
They play in Denver next. And they'll also be 3-2 on the road, and they're at Denver next.
That's true. That is true.
So yeah, that's pretty much. Oh yeah, and then one thing for Oilers goalie, they put in Koskinen, and they had Mike Smith to start last night, but they put in Koskinen, and he's 5-1. So I kind of like that too, for him to go 6-1, and they go 6-1 at home.
Yeah,
so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so
on the 18 date too, right?
Right. Going 6-1 on the 18 date for the Oilers at home makes a lot of sense.
Right. Also, I see that he can get his 33rd all-time win. Koskinen, Coyotes equals 33. So
right.
I'm liking Oilers a little bit.
Oilers is 33 as well. Both of them are.
Right.
So, yeah.
And one other thing that Rangers goalie, if he loses, he'll be 21-20. New York area code. 2-1-2.
2-1-2. If which goalie loses?
Georgiev, Alexander Georgiev. He's confirmed to start tonight for Rangers.
Okay. If he loses tonight, he's 2-1-2.
Yeah, I checked this last night, and also he'll be 3-3. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Good observations, man.
But all right, Tony. That's all of it.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right, keep it up.
All right. See you. Yeah, he had some good catches. That is a good point, too, that he made about them facing St. Louis next, because if they did win, they'd have 11 wins and 5 combined losses, and, of course, St. Louis is 115. We talked about that a lot with baseball. So, Oilers, and the line's negative 115, too, huh? And Predators, I mean, they are big favorites. They probably will win. He does make a good point. I was looking more at the immediate game and how they could fall to 2-3 in Detroit, city with multiple 83 connections. But it is true that if they win, it would make a lot of sense for them to go into Denver 3-2. So anyway, they don't pay very much, so I still don't know if they're worth the risk. They could stay on the 18 points on the 18 date numerology. So yeah, I'd still probably shy away from that one. And just make that note. I don't think I wrote it down. So yeah, out of the hockey games, I mean, the Oilers riddle's probably the most solid because you got the stadium name, and a lot of the riddles are through the stadium. Becoming 6-1 in Rogers Place, 61 the 18th prime. Makes sense. It sets him up for the next opponent. Again, just the one concern is falling to 10-5 because Arizona's 105. But outside of that, everything else looks pretty good. Coyotes losing in overtime is very possible too. So, and yeah, the goalies, man. The reason I don't look at the goalies is because so often there's like a great riddle there. I learned this last season. I'd be like, oh, how could that not go? And with the goalie, and then it wouldn't go. And I'd be like, okay, I just got to stick to the points and the records because that's where I'm calling games right. So if you want to look at the goalies and do some extra work, you're more than welcome to. I mean, sometimes the goalie. There was times last year where I looked at the goalie and it was helpful, but I'm telling you, it hurt as much as it helped. So. Yeah, but I think that last hockey game is probably the best one on the board. ESPN also equals 18, if you want to put another note in there. So, games on ESPN support that 61-18 narrative, which goes in favor of the Oilers. And if you're trying to figure out who the goalies are in the NHL, there's a few good websites. If you just type in NHL starting goalies, it'll pull up Daily Faceoff is one, and this Left Wing Lock is another. And there's probably even more, but usually I'd always check them both because sometimes they'll be conflicting with who the starting goalie is, but usually they're in agreement. So, all right, so basketball, hockey, all that's left is Monday Night Football, and I think the big clue in this game is with the overall home records for the week. You have 11 home teams that have won in Week 9 so far, and you have 2 that have lost. So home teams are 11-2, and what's Dallas equal? course, Dallas equals 113. So if the Cowboys win tonight, home teams will be 11-3 for the week. And also, home teams are 6-3 on Monday Night Football this year. New York Giants equals 64 in the most pure cipher. It does have an S, so it is also 73, but I always prefer the more pure cipher. So home teams falling to 6-4 on MNF makes sense. And home teams being 11-3 for Week 9 also makes sense. Dallas, 113. If the Giants lose, they'll be 2-7 on the 27-date numerology. And here, let's just go through some of the other things as well. Prescott can get his 38th all-time win. Giants is 38. And he could get his 37th win as well in the regular season. 37 is the 12th prime. MNF is 12. That's the one concern that I see, that Prescott could get his 12th away loss on MNF. But again, just looking at this, Daniel Jones can fall to 2-5. Giants equals 25 in the most pure cipher. And he can fall to 1-3 at home. Dallas equals 13 in the most pure cipher. So that makes a lot of sense. Of course, both those words do have S's, so there is a little devil's advocate narrative. But again, I prefer it more pure without the S exception. So 2-5, 1-3 makes perfect sense. And then Shermer can get his 41st loss. Dallas is 41. He can also get his 18th loss with the Giants on the 18-date numerology, so that's another factor. 41st overall loss and 18 with the Giants. And then the ref tonight is number 19, Clay Martin. Clay Martin equals 64. New York Giants 64. Again, home teams can fall to 6-4 on MNF. The Cowboys are 1-0 with Clay Martin. The Giants are 1-2 with Martin. They can fall to 1-2. MNF 12. Recall SNF is 12 as well. And some weeks back when the Sunday Night Football game was the Saints and the Cowboys, they put up the stat somewhere, I think it was around halftime, about how the Saints were grateful they had the ref that was on the field that night. And I can't remember if they were 11-0 with that ref or 11-1, but I know it was one of those two records. It was either 11-0 or 11-1 with the ref. And I put up the note on Patreon. I said they just posted this stat. SNF is 12. Saints can get the 12th win with this ref. And that's what they went on to do. So, Giants falling to 1-2 with Martins along the same lines. Dallas is 8-3 versus the Giants on Monday Night Football. Monday Night Football equals 93. So they can become 9-3 versus the Giants on MNF. And New York can fall to 3-9. New York's 39. G-Men's 39. And I think actually Cowboys with the S exception is 39 as well. Yeah, Cowboys is 30. If you use the rule for S, it's 39 as well. So I can even plug that in there in the notes. And back in the day, they played some games on Monday that were prior to Monday Night Football. Dallas is 47-37 on Mondays all time, but that's not the Monday Night Football era. They could get their 38th loss all time on Monday. Giants is 38. New York's also 48 though, and Dallas on Monday Night Football is 46-35. Giants are 26-39-1 on MNF. I guess we do have 27-date numerology, so that's one other thing that could go for the Giants. They could stay on the 39 losses in New York. But, again, you usually have to pick between riddles for games, and I like the Cowboys riddle better. Again, it makes sense for home teams to fall to 11-3 to conclude the week. Being on 11 wins in Week 9 makes sense. I guess just throw out another devil's advocate narrative. MNF is 12 if home teams got their 12th win. But Prescott, I guess you could make an argument that you get the 12th away loss, but you can also make the argument for the win. And then when you look at Jones and Shermer, they look a lot more ripe for a loss than a win, especially Shermer. So I guess the only thing that's there for Shermer is that he could get his 18th overall win on the 18-date numerology, but that 18 can go against him. And Dallas 41, I think that's the big one there. So I got to roll with the Cowboys in this game. Cowboys are an interesting team. Like the caller said, they could be. It's possible. We've been talking about how the Super Bowl is 112 days after Jerry Jones's birthday. Caller?
Hey, Zach. So, just a reminder, this is Giants Stadium. Same stadium the Jets gave a whipping to the Cowboys. One thing. Another thing, the Jets made a trade. Actually, the Giants made a trade with the Jets for a linebacker. So that's a little connection right there. Also, Sterling Sharp. He's going to be out, concussion protocol. But he's one of the best receivers for the Giants. And the player that was traded was Leonard Williams. So he's like a linebacker. And one last thing, the Giants going to be wearing their throwback jersey with the word Giants on. So it's kind of like from the 80s area. So instead of NY, it's going to be like the Giants written Giants.
It says. Wait, it says Giants on the helmet or just Giant the singular?
No, just plural.
Plural. Okay.
So that's all I got.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, the Giants played the Jets next week, and Jets has that gematria of 27, so if they lose this week, they'll go into the Jets game 2-7, which also makes sense. Let me plug that in the notes real quick. Whoops. Okay. Jets win their next game. They'll be 2-7. They're 1-7 right now. So anyway, going into that Jets game makes sense at 2-7, and then the Cowboys, they got Minnesota next week, and it's hard to. Let me double check something real quick. Let me see if the Vikings have a. Whoops. Whoops. Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, it's hard to say about their record facing the Vikings next. I guess if the Cowboys lost, they'd be 4-4 to face the Vikings. Vikings is 44. But yeah, I still think the better riddle here is with the Cowboys. So, I'll just jot it down here, though. If Cowboys lost, they would face Vikings 4-4. But again, you have the same thing going against the Giants, too. It can only be one way or the next. And again, Shermer and Jones, their numbers are pretty incriminating. And in light of the majority of the games this week being on November 3rd, big number. Again, don't forget that Scottish equals 113. American football credited to Walter Camp, who was a Scottish Rite Freemason. So I just like the overall narrative of home teams falling to 11-3 with Dallas making it happen. What's up, caller?
So I know we've been following Shermer all year, and his win-loss record has been pretty good this year. I would think that it just makes sense for him to lose. He was at 41.
Right, exactly. So
yeah, and then what is that? That's 1-7, and then they would be 2-7 with a Jets victory. Jets land on their magic number 18, representing next year because they're going to win the division, I believe. I think it makes sense.
What do you mean about 1-7?
Sorry about that. The Giants right now are 2-6, so that's 2-7.
Right.
So then they would go into 37. I believe there's a connection between the Giants and Jets with a 37. If I'm not, I could be wrong. I think
Jets equals 27. If the Giants lose, they'll be 2-7 to face the Jets, which equals 27.
27. Okay, got it. Okay, got it. Okay. Then we'll stick with the Sherman narrative with the 41 then.
Right, yeah, and Shermer has been a good indicator this season, so.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Zach. There
All
we
right.
go.
All right, appreciate it, man. See you. Alrighty, so yeah, I'm going to stick with the Cowboys there. Shermer's record has been very consistent this year. And when we go into next week, just remember, streaks of 8 are no longer perfect. They have been very good for us this year, but 2 out of 3 streaks of 8 did not come through for us this week. And I have a feeling a lot of people, the Packers game really hurt them. So it's probably the difference between a good day and a great day. So just remember that when we start to decode next week. And hold on, we got another caller here. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach? I just wanted to point out one thing. They're playing in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right?
East Rutherford, yeah.
Did you type that in?
I can do it real quick.
Yeah, in full reduction, it's 113.
Is that right?
Yeah. So that's that. I mean, I saw that and I was like, okay, well, I'm not betting on Giants.
Yeah. That's
You know?
funny that East Rutherford, NJ, or do you have to write out New Jersey?
Yeah, just New Jersey, the whole thing.
Yeah, you're right. That is 113. So there it is. Yeah, good catch.
And, so that's all I wanted to point out.
All right, appreciate it, man. Yeah, good observation.
Like,
All right, I'll plug that in here. But yeah, it's a good way to sum it all up. Yeah, and the 11 home wins in Week 9 and it ending in New York. I mean, just think about it. 11-9. Just reminds of the Mets scoring 9 runs on 11 hits on September 11th. So, yeah, got to leave it there. So, okay, just to recap everything, I favor the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Do a real quick scan here with basketball. Again, you got overlap numbers in this game. If Detroit wins, who's the underdog on the road, they're 4-4. Wizards is 44. Detroit's 44. I'll always ride with the overlap numbers. Pelicans and Nets. The Nets can improve to 3-4. Pelicans is 34 in the most pure cipher. Pelicans can fall to 1-6. Brooklyn Nets is 53, the 16th prime. The devil's advocate narrative is in the home and away records. There are some things that can go against the Nets and the home and away records, but usually the overall record will trump the home and away. Caller?
Hey, Zach, this is something I just found out. The last time the New York Giants defeated the Dallas Cowboys was December 11th, 2016, a 10-7 victory at MetLife Stadium that snapped the Cowboy 11 winning streak.
Okay. 11 New York, 11 State. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so 11 again. All right, appreciate it, man.
All right.
Yeah, New York's the 11th state. Okay. So again, just got to ride with the overall record. Pelicans becoming 1-3 away. Nets is 13. Brooklyn 41, the 13th prime. It's possible. And I guess I'll just throw one more devil's advocate narrative in there, but still, I favor the Nets here. So the home and away record's where the incriminating stuff is for the Nets, but the overall record looks better for them. Caller?
Yeah, I just wanted to finish my thought. I got confused on something. When you write out the word, NY Giants, that equals 37, 3-7, 2 different reductions. So that's why I had them losing today and winning over the Jets as well, besides the 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. I got confused about something.
All right, brother. Okay, Rockets and Grizzlies. Again, Rockets lose this game. They're 3-4. Memphis is 34. And if Rockets do lose this game, pencil them in for a W in the next game to get back to 4-4 because Rockets is 44. They'll be playing the Warriors at home, and it looks like the Warriors are likely to lose tonight and to the Rockets in the next game. Again, if Grizzlies win, they'll play Minnesota 2-4. Wolves equals 24, and even though they're the Timberwolves, they wear wolves on their jersey. Last year we documented how the Wolves Gematria seemed to hit more than the Timberwolves Gematria. So far, again, favor the Pistons. I favor the Nets. This game does have a few dangerous things, but I still favor the Nets. I think the Grizzlies will get it done, and I would take those points with the Grizzlies. Rockets have played a lot of close games so far. The Bucks and Timberwolves, again, Bucks can get to 5-2. Minnesota's 52. Minnesota 52 hits a lot. If the Timberwolves lose, they're 1-1 at home. Bucks is 11 in the most pure cipher. There is some Devil's Advocate stuff in the home and away records, but again, I'm going to go with the overall records. Minnesota 52. And do remember, again, if the Bucks do win this game, they should be good for a loss in the next game to Los Angeles, because Milwaukee and Los Angeles are 53. Their next game's in LA. 76ers and Suns. I think the Suns are going to get it done here. You got the overlap numbers. 76ers and Phoenix Suns both equal 52. Suns can get to 5-2. And the Suns coach will stay on 223 losses if he wins. Philadelphia 2-2-3. Plus he used to coach the 76ers, Monty Williams. Blazers and Warriors. If the Blazers win tonight, they're 4-3. Blazers is 43. If the Warriors lose, they're 1-6. Trailblazers is 53, the 16th prime. And that sets the... As long as the Warriors lose, it sets them up to become 1-7 in their next game. Houston Rockets 59, Warriors 59. 59 is the 17th prime, like 1-7. And if the Blazers do win this game, they'll probably drop the next one at the Clippers, because they would be 4-4. Portland's 44. Clippers is 44. So Blazers look pretty good. Again, just to throw out the Devil's Advocate narrative, the one thing that could go against the Blazers is the Warriors becoming 1-4 at home, because NBA TV's 14 and Blazers is 43, the 14th prime. But again, Blazers win. They're 4-1 away. Golden State's 41. I like the Blazers riddle better. And so I favor the Blazers. I favor the Suns. I favor the Bucks. I favor the Grizzlies. And again, with underdogs, I do encourage you to take the points. I favor the Nets. I favor the Pistons. So that's basketball. Hockey. A lot of close games today. Looks like I got rid of my NHL notes. Here, let me get them back up here one more time. Did I change something on here? Why did it ask me to save? Did I add something? All right, hold on. NHL, Penguins and Bruins, very dangerous in my opinion. But if the Bruins do pull it out, they'll be 11-1. Penguins is 111. But if Penguins lose in overtime, they'll have 18 points on the 18-date numerology. It's dangerous because the Penguins have a chance to become 4-2 away, and that number shows up a lot with the Penguins, 42. Anytime I see that, I'm like, yeah, there's a good chance that hits. But outside of that, everything else seems to point in the Bruins' favor. But it's still really tough to go against the Penguins' 42 riddle. Senators and Rangers, a lot more lines up for the Rangers here. It's just if they did lose, their home record would be a little bit of a tribute to New York. But again, Senators, if they lose in regulation, they'll be 3-9. We know how often New York in 39 shows up, so that's hard to go against. Predators and Red Wings. Predators are big favorites on the road. They're expected to win. Plenty of upsets in hockey. I do think this game's a little bit dangerous, too, because of the chance of the Predators falling to 2-3 away. I'd probably skip this hockey game. If I wanted to mess with a hockey game tonight, it would be this one right here. Coyotes at the Oilers, and the reason why is because the date numerology and the location support the Oilers winning. Oilers can become 6-1 at home. 61's the 18th prime number. You have 18 date numerology. The game's on ESPN 18, and it's in Rogers Place, which equals 61. So the Oilers getting to 6-1 and Rogers Place 61 makes sense. Plus you got the 18 date numerology and a chance that the Coyotes could fall to 18 points. And it was pointed out that if the Oilers win, they'd have 11 wins and 5 combined losses. Remember, hockey, you got to read the stats right. 4 losses plus 1 overtime loss, so 5 combined losses. So they'd be 11-5, kind of like 115. St. Louis 115. That's who they play next. So the strength of this game's riddle is in the 61-18 thing, and the game's also a better value compared to a lot of these other games. Because it's hard to call these upsets. I mean, Red Wings have a chance, but they have plenty stacked against them. They'd be a great payout if they won, but There's just not enough there to have confidence in. Same thing with the Senators. Senators could be a nice upset play, but there's more stacked against them than for them. And the Penguins, their upset again would be 4-2 away, but there's plenty there to favor the Bruins. So that's why, again, just be patient. When the days where we get a full slate of hockey games, we do well every single day when we have a lot of games to choose from. We only got 4 today in hockey, so slim pickings. But, and honestly, I got to say one other thing. That Saturday I got pissed off when the Wild game did not come through. If you followed the hockey notes and read the hockey notes, we did very well on Saturday, but the one game that I really loved, it didn't come through, and it was the game with the most bold on it, and all day the trolls were talking about that game and how I was going to be wrong, and Zach will be wrong about the bold, and then I was wrong, and it just reminded me, like, who the fuck are these losers that hang around here all day? Who do they really work for? I mean, the notes were out, 10 hours before the game was played, so it didn't make any sense for that game to not come through, because we were dead on about the riddle for Saturday, about the 59 and 17 riddles they hit all day, and then they didn't hit in that game, which was the very most 59-17 game on the board. I mean, it just didn't make sense. So, anyway. I want to show you guys something to show you how dumb the trolls are. And just look at this comment from yesterday. So, hold on. I got to load it up this way. So yesterday in the NBA notes, I only bolded one game in the NBA, and it looked really good. It was, I'm on the wrong day here. I need these notes. There's only 4 games yesterday. So anyway, yesterday, what in the world? Oh, it's right here. The Jazz and Clippers game, right? So I bolded 2 things. I bolded Utah Jazz equals 40, and then it says right below it, Clippers can become 4-0 at home. LA equals 13. Jazz can fall to 1-3 away, which is exactly what happened. And, this comment right here left by this guy. Zach, you said you like the teams where you bold your comments, and now you have Jazz and LA both in bold, so how can I have both teams in the same pick? That's confusing as fuck. Well, I mean, the problem is this guy's retarded as fuck, because it's very clear what it's telling you. Clippers can become 4-0 at home, Jazz can fall to 1-3 away. And anyway, that's the level of intelligence of the trolls who work here. And sometimes I do wonder if, these are the... we know who runs the show, the tribe. I imagine the rejects who sit on this page and troll all day are the offspring that aren't worth a shit. So they think, what do we do with these little worthless mutts? Well, they give them shit jobs to do, like troll and harass people who expose them, such as myself. And because they are so incompetent, if the notes aren't super clear to them, they probably can't communicate what needs to be communicated. So anyway... They've caught on to the bold thing, but even when things are bolded, they're still a little bit too stupid to figure it out. So anyway, I'm not sure that I'm going to continue to bold things. You're just going to need to read the notes and look at what looks strong. What do I say every day? Like Douglas, I know you're out there listening right now, and the other day, I didn't bold a lot of stuff, and you said, well, I don't see anything in bold, so I'm not going to do anything, but there were plenty of games that day where there was overlap numbers. What do you think is going to happen in the Bulls and Pacers game when I point out all this 33? And, I mean, what do I say, Douglas? I know you're out there listening. What do I say about overlap numbers? I like overlap numbers. Bulls is 33. Indiana's 137, the 33rd prime. Sunday's the day of the week that equals 33. Pacers won yesterday. So, again, because there's so many haters here and trolls and people who I don't know who they work for, I do worry that some games get flipped. And I know if I just write explicitly, this is the game I like, if that is what's going on, it makes it a lot easier to turn that game. So you're going to need to read the notes and use your brain and think about my voice in the background, what I'd be saying. You know I like overlap numbers. If teams have overlap numbers, what do I say every time? So anyway, we'll leave it there. The basketball picks are up. All the notes are up. Hockey, again, I'd probably only mess with that one game. And football, can't go against the 1-1-3 riddle. So we'll leave it there. Again, all the notes are up. And if nobody else has anything to call in and say, I'm going to get to decoding NFL Week 10 because that's tonight's project. But before I go, let me just check in with the chat. Well, I'll tell you something else that I realized that's going on with the trolls. So I'm not even going to say this person's name because their name is worthless. But there's a person 4 years ago that used to follow my blog. One of their names you recognize, Sports Gematria, one of the trolls that's every day on the wall. But about 4 years ago, Sports Gematria has followed my blog for at least 4 years. And about 4 years ago, another one of him and Sports Gematria were probably the two most biggest commenters for all of my sports work on my blog. And one of them would always be posting, Zach, you got to start charging money for this. Zach, contact me. Let's start a business. We can make so much money off this, Zach. But the thing was, the guy who was always posting about making money, he would always be going against my picks and saying, I think this is going to happen. He'd have some big abstract thing that didn't make any sense. And he was wrong like every single time. And at the same time, he's asking me to start a business with it. I'm thinking, if I'm going to start a business on this, I'm definitely not going to work with you because you do shit decoding. You don't make any sense. And at the time, I still had money saved up. I wasn't in it for money. So I did it for years for free. And anyway, he just kept begging, just always in the comments, Zach, contact me. We've got to start a business. Well, finally, him and probably Sports Gematria, because they were the two that commented, because they called themselves something club, right? And anyway, they started charging hundreds of dollars a year to get Gematria sports picks, and all they were doing was using my knowledge. And probably not even using my picks, probably using their own shitty picks, because somebody who followed me signed up for it just to check it out. And he's like, oh my God, they're so bad. It's like everything they say is way off. And I was like, well, that's no surprise. It's just like how he always went against my picks and was wrong like literally every single time. So anyway, I realized that tool is now subscribed to my Patreon, and on his Twitter page, he's bragging about how he called Nationals in Game 7 and how I'm a fraud and I had a Yankees-Cardinals World Series. And then what did he do? He took a short YouTube clip from one of our live streams where once the 4 teams were settled, we were looking at it. And again, before the postseason began, I advocated very heavily for Astros and Nationals. More than anything else, I emphasized that was a really good riddle based on what we tracked all year. And then when we looked at all 4 games, I said, well, if it's not Astros and Nationals, you do have a nice date alignment from the last Yankees-Cardinals match to the World Series. So I said that could be another hedge. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you took both of those as your picks, you came out way ahead. And for the gentleman on the Patreon wall whose thing I posted, the reason that he made so much money this past week was because the Nationals came through. Where'd it go? All the trolls are all over this. Look at these idiots. Okay. Where's it at? Oh, right here. This guy right here who won all this money this week, he didn't even bet that much. All of these payouts are because behind all of his parlays, when I emphasized, when you could still get 6-1 odds for the Nationals and Astros, he took that advice and he plugged it in with other things. And he turned a little bit of money into a lot of money this week. He made $10,688. And anyway, now this tool that's out there in the world, who's the absolute scum of the earth, who's all he's ever done is leached off my information and made money off it. He's now bragging that he had Nationals in Game 7 and I did it. And it's like, what a fucking loser, man. What a fucking loser you are. The only reason you know about any of this is because you learned from me. And you proved a long time ago you were jack shit with this knowledge. Then you went out and tried to charge people hundreds of dollars for it, and you fucking suck. And now you take my pick and claim credit for it and try to make a public thing saying, oh, see, here's the proof that Zach had a Cardinals-Yankees World Series. You're a real fucking loser and a piece of shit, just like all the other trolls. And sorry for the people who aren't involved in this, but hold on, we got a caller here. Caller?
Hi, Zach. Never called before, but I've been following you for a long time with all the things you do. but as far as sports go, just for the last week. And I can say, well, a week and a day. And I can say in that time that the worst that you had was 50%. And every other day was, you'd be right on 7, wrong on 4, right on 6, wrong on 2, whatever. I'm not sure that not holding your main points is a good idea, because I think it could allow those trolls to really push what they always do when they say, well, how the hell am I supposed to figure this out? You know what I mean?
Well, I know that they definitely can't figure it out because they're incompetent. But again, I'm in a tough spot because I really, when the Wild game did not come through this weekend, there was no reason for that game not to come through. That was the strongest riddle of the day based on the number pattern that followed for nearly every other game. And all day the trolls were saying about, oh, that game's going to be wrong. Oh, the bald one will be wrong. And then it ended up being wrong. And I was like, So...
Well, I mean, I think everyone understands that it's pretty hard to see it. Like, if anyone expects you to be 100%, that's ridiculous. But if if everyone just picks what you picked and bets evenly on all your picks, you're going to win. You're going to be up. Like, I know, I'm up. So, anyway, I just don't want to give them more ammunition. I hope you don't give them more ammunition to really use their main argument, which is, well, now I have to decode, you're making this too difficult. Like, one of the things I think that drives a lot of people to you probably is because you're making picks. And if you have a good record, more people are going to want to come. People have to understand, you're not going to be perfect.
Of course, it's impossible to be perfect. The thing is,
absolutely.
what I realize, though, is every day if you watch the video, I'm going to tell you what games I like. So I just worry that, because again, the Wild pick in bold was up for about 10 hours before the game was played. And I really do think that game was flipped. So
I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got you. Well, they can always listen to your video and flip it too, but I guess not, because your video is so close to the time that people are going to make that. So yeah, I got what you're saying. I get you.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
If other people want to call in and weigh in, I'm listening. It's just I feel like I'm in between a rock and a hard place with the trolls and whoever these people work for. So.
I see your point. That's fine. Anybody can just listen to the video, and even if, like you said, if you want to just listen to the last part of the video, you always reiterate your picks at least twice, usually 3 times or more.
Right. Yeah. I'm trying to make sure it's clear. So.
Right on. Thanks, Zach. I appreciate you.
All right. Appreciate it, man.
Bye.
Thanks. Yeah, and listen to the troll idiots. I love Sports Gematria because he always acts like he's the boss. He's telling people, Zach didn't get the Texans game right. Zach didn't get the Texans game right. He doesn't get credit for that. It's like, how didn't I get the Texans game right? Didn't I say 3 or 4 times in the video that I like the Texans, but I wouldn't put them in a parlay? Because I know those were my words. I said I worry a little bit about the Jaguars making it 9-9, but I said again, they got the date numerology riddle. Watson can get his 9th away win. They can also get the 23rd win overall, the 9th prime. I know exactly what I said. Sports Gematria wants to post all over. Zach didn't call the Texans game. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
So Zach, I follow you on the YouTube, with everything you do with the news, and I have been following you with the sports. Actually, what first led me on to you was after the NFC championship game last year.
Okay.
I've always known sports has been rigged, but never scripted, right? Scripted never crossed my mind. Rigged for sure. And I know these trolls get to you sometimes because of the shit they do. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be on the Patreon, I'll be looking and seeing what they saying and stuff like that. Don't let it get to you, man, because you got a whole community that's behind you. We know real. We know what's real. And like the previous caller was just saying, it's just damn near impossible to go 100%. And I think that's what these trolls are clamming on. They go, oh, you did this or you didn't hit this one. It's like, we're not going to get every game. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's going to get every game. But on top of that, Zach, even when I was following you before I signed up for the Patreon in April, even on YouTube, you were saying, man, I like this game, but it didn't come through. Don't know why this one didn't come through. You know what I'm saying? The numbers are really great, but it didn't fall through. It happens sometimes. So even on YouTube, you're telling people, man, I ain't 100%, but I'm better than, anyone else out there. And so don't let the trolls get to you, man. Seriously, because you got all of us. We're supporting you. We're behind you, man. And personally, I feel like more of the community can do individual work on these games. You're not going to see every little detail for every game, and some of those details help, man. So
absolutely,
if us as a community can just pick a game. It's like, I don't know how many of us it is, but it's more of us than there are games every day or every week, and everyone can pick one game that they want to decipher, decode, and break it down to the fullest, because it'll help.
And that's what I want to emphasize. That's what I try to do every day, because I could just post the picks and not even do an analysis, but I'm trying to teach people every single day so that they can do this themselves. Just like the man who turned $5 into $3,000 this week. Almost all of his picks that he used, he took my word on the Astros and Nationals. That was the big multiplier. But he decoded the UFC fights this week, and I've showed him how simple UFC fights are. We've done it before. It usually is as simple as Nate Diaz equals 35. Dude's going for the 35th win, and that's exactly what he did. He just put together a card full of those. They all came through, plus the Nationals, and bam. So
right,
yeah.
And I've been signing up for the Patreon since April, and obviously football didn't start till September. I'm big on football, and my first week that I betted, which was like week 4 or something, I won $1,200, and I only invested like $20.
There you go.
So, and I'm new to this, and I'm breaking down these games and calling all this stuff with you. I started to call in, but just about once a week now. You know what I mean? So, man, I think a lot of guys are just being lazy too, man, just sitting back waiting on your picks, and then mad when certain ones didn't come through or that one game messed up their parlay, and it's just like, hey, man, put some work in, I know we all work. I got a little more free time because I'm an Uber driver, but still, I got to work. But still, those few hours I have of the day, fuck looking at TV, fuck looking at a music video or something like that, and decode these games, man. We need the help, We can use it. I know you can use it. You do a lot, man. So.
Sure. And for people out there who are looking for a side hustle, Uber and, do you do Uber and, oh, God, what's the other one called right now? I can't think, but.
What, Lyft?
Yeah, you do them both?
No, actually, I just do Uber, man, and I make. Like if I go hard all week, I'll make like $1,300.
Do both, man. Trust me, do both. I used to do both, and I did both in Seattle, and I'd work about 60 hours a week, and I'd make about $2,000 a week at least. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Zach.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah. No problem.
But yeah, I was going to say, that's a good side hustle, Uber and Lyft. It depends on what city you're in. I mean, you want to be in a populated place where there's tourism and stuff. So if you're in a major city, it's definitely a lot better than... I should have asked him what city he's in, but I imagine he's in a good-sized city. But yeah, if you are trying to, make some money, Uber and Lyft, you're your own boss. You just can't piss off your customers. That's the only way you can lose your job. So, but yeah, for people who are trying to make some extra pennies... A better way than doing it than gambling is something like that. So that is a good side hustle. All right, we'll leave it there, you guys. We covered everything. And, yeah, I'm thinking... all right, I didn't bold the notes today, but I guess I'll go back to bolding it. I just got really annoyed after the Wild game didn't come through. So, anyway... We'll leave it there. I'm going to go start working on NFL Week 10. And we haven't done the early week NFL decode, but I'd like to do that again. So perhaps we'll schedule that for tomorrow night after we do our normal live stream. So we'll leave it there and be back tomorrow around the same time. Again, I'm trying to start these live streams around noon Pacific or at the latest 1 Pacific, which is 3 Eastern or 4 Eastern. And that way it gives me plenty of times to decode the games and not rush anything. And we've been doing better this way. So we'll leave it there. Melbourne Cup today. Well, sorry, I'm not going to get to that, Richie. But again, you can use the knowledge. So be back tomorrow. Until next time, Truth Seeker.